Hey, hurry. What do we do?
Okay, hold on.
I'm gonna end it.
No, don't end it. 20 minutes.
Hi, Tanya.
I love that you're in New York. How did you do that in the first place?
Thing for us here at the city, and so we're excited that all of you have decided to join us. We are not excited about the circumstances, but we're hopeful that we can move forward together as a community, remain positive, and try to get through this thing together. So this morning on the call is going to be myself, Director of Business Innovation for the City of Montrose. I'm going to be covering a little bit of the labor and unemployment pieces, as it turns out that people at the Workforce Center are pretty busy right now. So I'm going to just lightly touch on a couple of those things. Following me will be Kat Papenbrock from OEDIT, and she's our Rural Opportunity Representative. And so OEDIT is the Office of Economic Development and International Trade at the state of Colorado. And so a lot of what Kat will have to talk about is some of the disaster relief that'll be coming down from the state. Then we will have Dan Cinto, who is the director of the Business Loan Fund at Region 10. And I think, there's Kat. All right, you're here. Dan Cinto and maybe Nancy over at Region 10 will talk to us about a lot of more national type of relief, business loan funding type of things. And then I'll end the call again with what we're doing locally to try to stimulate the economy. Okay, so we're gonna now dive into some of the unemployment type benefits. And again, type questions into the chat box. If you have questions, we'll try to answer them at the end of each section. And then at the end, we'll also have time for hopefully a few questions. Also, we're going to be posting everything we talk about. We'll be emailing it to you in a nice document with links and all of those type of things. So you'll be able to receive those right after this call. All right, so I'm going to jump into the labor and unemployment information, and Dan and Kat might want to back me up on this after I finish the discussion. But the most important things to know right now are two different programs that are available through the state of Colorado. And so we have the emergency paid leave rule. And so this is just something to know as an employer. This temporarily requires employers in certain industries, which I'll list in a moment, to provide a small amount of paid sick leave to employees with flu-like symptoms who are being tested for COVID-19. Employers in these industries are covered through this: leisure and hospitality, food service, childcare, education, including transportation, food service, and related work with educational establishments, home health, nursing homes, and community living facilities. So workers are covered regardless of pay rate or method, and the daily pay during leave is either their established daily rate, or if their pay fluctuates, their average daily pay last month. So there's going to be a lot of information that we'll be putting out right after this. It's a big sort of packet of information that you can read through regarding this, but this is something to remember if you have someone who is experiencing symptoms. The next thing that we're going to dive into is something that's new and interesting regarding this from the Department of Labor and Employment, and that's called the Work Share Program. So this is Colorado's sort of opportunity to think about things in the way of maybe we can all suffer a little instead of all of us or one of us suffering greatly. And so as an employer, as you start to think about layoffs and that type of thing, this program allows maybe for you to reduce the labor hours of your workforce for everybody, and then for them to apply for some unemployment benefits to make up the difference. And so it gives you an alternative to laying it off and just allows everybody to sort of take smaller pieces of the hit. Then they will not receive their full pay from the state of Colorado, but they can apply for partial pay, and that will be coming out in a link. It's going to look like this. We'll be sending that out right after this. So this is going to allow your business to continue production and maintain quality as best you can. Hopefully, the most important piece of this is that we're retaining really experienced and good staff. And so we're able to keep them on, get a little bit of pay from the state of Colorado, and keep them employed until we can get through to the end of this. And then hopefully that will ease the return of full production, lower costs for hiring down the road, and just keep morale a little bit higher if at all possible. Okay, and then also from the Department of Labor are the normal benefits, like layoffs and separations. Please refer employees to the local workforce center right now. They are working. They received almost a record high claims as of yesterday, and so they're doing everything they can to satisfy claims that are being placed by the minute. And then there's also the unemployment insurance information. And this document's going to be coming out to everybody, and so it has links to all of the things that I just discussed. All right, right now we're going to turn it over to Kat. And Kat, please feel free to talk about a little bit what I talked about and then anything else that you've got, and we'll unmute you.
Great. Thanks so much for having me all today, guys. And honestly, these are allergies. So just fair warning if I'm sneezing, I apologize. So from the OEdit side, we've really been working hard internally to coordinate across all of our different departments. So we've been working with DOLA and CDLE, CDPHE, of course our SBDC. I know Dan and Nancy are going to be on a little bit later to talk about those pieces, and then Startup Colorado, and really trying to dig down how we can reduce a little bit of the business impact. So I think Chelsea already had talked about kind of those new employment pieces that are coming out. I'm sorry, I'm going to be kind of reading off of my notes here. But in terms of other CDLE things that I know that they're trying to work on the state is trying to, exactly what you talked about, is trying to overcome that backlog of unemployment insurance claims, and trying to make that process a little bit quicker and taking down some of those barriers. So that's something that's pending, hopefully within the next week. On the OEdit side, we've really hustled over the last week to get the application in for the SBA disaster loan program. I know that Dan and Nancy will be talking about that a little bit more in depth. All of that was submitted yesterday. We will be waiting to hear from that, but since Utah and New Mexico have gotten their declarations already, I know that Montrose County, their loan fund has already been stood up because you're adjacent to a county in Utah that has already been declared a disaster. So those should be up and available. The rest of the state should be close behind. I think within the next 24 hours is what we're waiting on. The other thing that we're really trying to do is aggregating all of those resources, especially for small businesses, together through the SBDC network. The Pikes Peak SBDC is the one that we've kind of designated for the time being, of being kind of the catch-all for everything that's changing for small business information on a daily basis. I'm happy to share that after this call. It'll probably end up being shared with the state's website, but AICFA over there has had an employee that's been able to basically keep up with everything day by day and just constantly updates that website for business resources. And then Startup Colorado on the other side should be reaching out to all of our entrepreneurial groups, all of our chambers, all of our business organizations, and starting to track what those kind of local marketing efforts look like, kind of like what Chelsea, what you had sent out the other day, just to start coordinating between the state and realizing, you know, if there is strategic funding that we're activating, is that something that we can support it with? There is at the state level as well a hotline for business owners if they need help, in addition to, of course, our SBDCs that are certainly overwhelmed, and we're trying to figure out how to increase the SBDC's capacity and just get everybody informed on that. You know, of course, tourism part of the industry as well. They have been doing some external as well as internal industry messaging on their pages, so I'm willing to share those if you don't have access to those already. And really, OEdit is probably going to be taking on the coordinated communications for business access around the COVID issues. So Clark was the one who we had talked to, is really, working on the Colorado Workforce Consortium from the Colorado Department of Labor and Employment. I think we've covered most of that, and they're still working on it. On the DOLA side, Bill, I don't know if you've been in touch with them yet. I know that Chelsea, you were emailing with Kara and Patrick, but they're really just trying to figure out how to, consolidate and provide real-time information and to activate all the resources that they have. So nothing is quite set there yet as of our call on Monday, but there definitely should be some more coordinated messaging coming out from that. So that's really the main updates that we have right now on the rural opportunity representative side, which I am, and we've got our other reps in Southern and Eastern Colorado. We're just trying to check in on all of these calls to see exactly what the communities need, if there's something that's missing, especially from OEdit or from the state side, so that we can talk that up the chain. So that's pretty much the big overview where we are at this point.
Great, thanks, Kat. We're gonna jump into Region 10 now with Dan Cinto, and I think Nancy might be with him or not, but either way, jump over to Region 10, talk about funding and SBA type assistance.
Very good, thank you. Yes, Nancy Murphy is here with me this morning. The two things that I wanted to talk about are a loan deferral for existing Region 10 loan fund participants. If you have a business that has a loan with Region 10, what we've agreed to do is do a 90-day loan modification and extension for them if they wish. The way that works is what will happen is the 3 payments that would be due get advanced to the end of the loan. So what that does hopefully is provide some cash flow assistance to them as this problem develops. In addition to that, at the end of that, we can take a look at possibly doing a note modification and lowering their payments by either lengthening the amortization or taking a look at some other maybe holistic debt refinance approach for that business. There is also going to be funding available for all businesses within the region, a limited amount of funding available. What we've developed is a disaster loan program, and I sent a pamphlet out on that, Chelsea. I think if everybody gets that, then they can feel free to share that around. What that's going to do is, the purpose of it is an immediate cash infusion of up to $10,000 at a 4% interest rate with no closing costs and a term of up to 4 years. So to process that loan, what I'm going to need from the business is a very minimum loan application, basically an updated personal financial statement, a current profit and loss statement, and the last 2 years of business tax returns. When I underwrite that loan, we're really looking to make sure that the business was a viable operating business and that we know what the hardship is. So we were able to deploy this capital last year to businesses affected by the Lake City flood, and we were able to turn checks out in about a week. So the way this is developing with the immediate shut off for some of these businesses, if you know one, we want to encourage them to apply. But again, I do need to state that we have a limited amount of funds, but we would be able to help a fair number of businesses, certainly not everybody. So that's the loan deferral program. The other thing that on that pamphlet that I wanted to mention is the disruptions can affect us all part. I think it's a good idea for businesses to take the time to look at themselves and answer the questions on those bullet points. It's something that I know Nancy coaches to, even in times of non-despair, but there's no better time than the present for them to really kind of take a look at all facets of how their business is operating. And if they can answer those questions, they're in a very good position at all points in their business cycle. But there might be some questions there that spawn them to take initiative to fix things for themselves too, that they know that they can help, that don't require capital. So those were the points that I wanted to make this morning, team.
I'd like to add a couple of things. This is Nancy from Region 10 in the West Central SBDC. To tag on to what Kat was saying, the SBA does have some disaster economic injury relief coming, and that's the thing that Kat talked a little bit about. One thing that's really important to remember is that a business has really got to show how they've been injured by specifically COVID-19. And part of the thing around that is they need to look at their profit and loss from 2019 versus what they're claiming for 2020. And they've got to be able to make that statement of how they're actually experiencing loss. And that whole release of money to them is based on their ability to build their case specifically related to COVID-19. So anybody that you know who's filling out any of that paperwork has to really relate it to being impacted by COVID-19. Also, to tag on to Kat's, I'd like to give you all a website to go to for small businesses, and feel free to direct any small businesses to this. In terms of Pikes Peak, what Kat mentioned is they are basically the clearinghouse for all information for small businesses. So it's not like every SBDC center created a website. We're sending everybody to this specific one. And the address for that is Colorado, and Colorado is spelled out. So Colorado SBDC, that stands for Small Business Development Center, .org/COVID, COVID. So that's Colorado SBDC.org/COVID, COVID. So feel free to send any small businesses to there because that gets updated on a regular basis. That's all I've got.
Okay.
Okay, and then quickly from Nancy.
That was me.
Oh, yes. So Nancy, do you know of a podcast or anything else, sort of like ways people can engage on the regular from the SBDC that's happening right now, or has that not been activated yet?
Not that I've heard yet. Things are changing, as you know, by the minute, but I'll keep you posted and let you know anything I hear.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for sharing those resources. We'll talk more about this at the end, but as a reminder, this is going to be happening every week. We're going to be providing updates. Quickly, I'm going to turn it over to Bill, the city manager, who...
Did you mute everybody?
Sorry, we're unmuting you. Hold on.
Am I good?
Yeah, you're live.
Okay. So can I ask a couple questions on what Nancy and Dan just talked about?
Yes.
Okay. I think it's important for Chelsea and I to be able to answer really quickly questions we're already getting. So what I just heard that is most concerning to me is that they have to prove a COVID-19 impact, which I agree with, totally makes sense. But it's going to be hard to explain to our small business owners if they're not a restaurant and a bar or a theater who were just shut down. Those are very clear impacts. But what about the ones that have voluntarily closed, or their employees don't have daycare any longer because the school's shut down? I'm more concerned citywide that we have more businesses that are going to be affected by the lack of staffing because of our school closure than actually the governor ordered restaurants and stuff. So what's the thought on that? Is having to shut down because you don't have enough employees because they can't come to work because of the school closure, is that a COVID-19 impact?
Are you covering that, Dan?
Yeah, so Bill, I think to answer that question, Nancy and I will both speak to that. Within the spirit of the underwriting of that program, working with the SBA, I feel that a reasonable answer to that would be, my sales in 2019 were X. I no longer have any customers, or my customer traffic count is 50% or 30% or whatever that looks like. You know, we tend to look at things too much from a financial statement basis, and we don't want to have to take the time for those financial statements to develop because we know what they're going to look like. So I think if you speak to the spirit of the program and state that traffic count is down, therefore the gross sales will be down by a certain percentage. Is that?
And I would,
It's a little more flexible than when you're normally proving yourself for a loan.
yes. And Bill, also, I would say that on the SBA side, it's anything that has the ripple effect. So if it is businesses that have to close because they don't have employees, because they have to stay home for childcare, that is all part of it. So it's not just directly affected businesses that are required to close or shutter. It's just the ripple effect of how this whole thing is taking off along the line.
Okay. And are there some checklists? I know you referred to some websites and different things, but I'm assuming on those, when we direct people there, there'll be some checklists that they can follow.
Yes.
Okay. Did I just see a comment from Oedit on that?
Yeah.
Not on the checklist, but the one piece, and I do apologize that I forgot to mention that. I was going through all of the cross-departmental communications versus our internal ones at OEdit and business support. To Paul's point that yes, absolutely, we recognize that loans are not the answer for every single business, and that this is, you know, kind of an unprecedented thing that we've ever looked at. So one of the things that we are looking at through our extensive foundation network, local foundations, statewide foundations, is to kind of look at being a little bit more flexible in terms of small business grants and gap funding, you know, whether that comes out as a 0% loan or just an outright grant or support or something that stretches what the community foundations are doing to health and wellness. That is definitely something that we're investigating. Startup Colorado is helping us with that as well because they have access to a lot more of those funding sources. It's just that loan program is the traditional thing. It's the thing that we can get the fastest. The other one is taking a lot of individual phone calls and on the ground coordination, but no, that's definitely a track that we're following because especially in our rural communities, we're really sensitive to that. The other thing that, you know, and Bill, not to throw you under the bus, but Montrose has been really forward. You know, one of the things that we're looking at is talking to chambers and business organizations and even cities that support businesses to see if there is, you know, flexibility in terms of being able to do some additional support if there's flexibility in the budget to be able to move things around to address with COVID for whatever that looks like in the community. That's not something that we're going to do guidelines on, but just something that we're encouraging through conversations exactly like this. I'm actually, my 9 o'clock call is with URA to do the same thing. So, so do know we're absolutely aware of that. And, you know, of course, even with the SBA, we know that there are limits to what you can do there. And so what we're trying to do is put together a whole stack of, if A doesn't work, here's B, here's C, here's D. But we're probably still about, you know, a week out of having that whole piece put together. So thanks for that comment. It's very valid.
Awesome.
Can I just add that, I think that's a great idea to encourage the cities partnering with chambers and different groups to try to get some cash out there right away. So Chelsea, did you already mention about our advertising and some of those things we're trying to do?
No, I'm going to jump into that here now,
Okay.
unless you want to. Okay. So we're going to jump into a little bit about what we're doing locally. We literally just came up with this yesterday. So it is, you know, it's a work in progress. We're going to be putting updates out. The best thing locally you can do is follow DART and the city on social media. That's the quickest way that we can get information out about what we're doing. And we're going to try to communicate as often and as best as we can. So we're going to be doing a few things locally to try to keep the economy going. We recognize that the economy is not the same, that things are not the same. But what we want to do is everything we can as a local community to support one another in this time. And so the first thing is this call. So we're going to have this call every Wednesday morning at 8:30. Sounds like, you know, Kat might even have more updates for us next week on stuff. The city might have more updates on stuff. And so every week, tune in at 8:30, we'll do this. And then we'll also be posting a recording of this for anybody who wasn't able to make it. So that's the first thing we'll be doing. The second thing is every Friday night, we're going to organize a huge movement called Montrose Dines In with Takeout. And so we're going to be encouraging the public to pick up takeout from different restaurants. We're organizing right now which restaurants are providing takeout, how you might get it, menus, all of that. We're going to be putting that on cityofmontrose.org/COVID-19, and that'll have all of those restaurants, and we'll be also organizing it with social media. I'll talk more about the marketing at the very end. Then we'll do Montrose Shops Local Saturdays. So this is like re-engaging Small Business Saturday, but every Saturday. So encouraging locals to buy a local product every Saturday or service, and that includes gift cards. So any way that we can get out and just boost a little bit of the economy in that way, especially those people who are still working in this time. We're really encouraging confidence in those people who are still working to support the economy. What we're trying to organize with large employers is something called We Are the Lunch Crowd. And so again, this is to support restaurants, but we're going to try to organize, the city's going to be doing Tuesday and Thursday large orders for our staff, where we order box lunches from different restaurants every time, and then we deliver it to our staff. So we'll have someone on staff going to pick up the food and delivering it to our different departments. We've already encouraged other large employers to do this, and I know that they are. So that is another thing that we're trying to do. So you can take part in that in a small or large scale. Every little bit helps to keep that lunch business going for some of our restaurants. Okay, so for those three things, the call today, the Friday night dine-in with takeout, and Saturday shop local, we are going to be heavily marketing all of that information with radio, newspaper, social media, and everything. And so businesses are encouraged to post within our Facebook event what they're offering. And we're also maybe going to be working on some videos coming around to businesses each week and talking about specials and trying to keep smiles on people's faces, trying to convey that some people are still, able to live, positively, that we're getting through this as best we can together. So we're going to be doing all of that and communicating positivity. I wanted to quickly share a few cool ideas that I've heard from local businesses or seen out there. So from a local retailer, Shishi Boutique, they're offering Shishi Fix Box deliveries. So that's a customized delivery, much like the National Stitch Fix, that will be delivered to your door. People can will receive 20% off of the clothing that they keep, and then Shishi will come back and pick up the items that you don't want. So a really cool idea of a way to activate your customer base in an alternative way. CrossFitagogie, for the gyms out there, follow their Instagram. They're doing really great things, creating value for their members. They're doing a workout of the day, explaining how to do the workout, and then encouraging members to post photos, post their times, and engage with one another. And then they're resharing all the photos of their members who have been doing the workouts at home. So if you're a gym owner, or if you know a gym owner, this is a great idea. We've also received some ideas from City Council about maybe broadcasting some of these workouts on our public channel. So we'll be looking at that, just knowing that our resources are also limited, trying to communicate. But these are just ideas, so I just want to share them and get them out there. Coffee Trader, if you've seen what they're doing on social media, of course, they're offering deliveries. They've got a drive-through. But what I love about what Coffee Trader and businesses like yours, Krista, are doing are staying positive, talking about cool ways that you can interact with their business, and that, they're still going, they're still here for you, those type of things. Really cool. Bars, that's going to be one of the more difficult ones. Music venues, Paul, I know you're on here. How do we continue to activate those people? It's not going to be the same. I talked to David Fishering this morning. What they're doing is selling a bottle of liquor in a bag with supplies for 10 drinks, like for Moscow Mules. So you can sort of have, a bar in a bag and take it home and enjoy your cocktail at home, and they'll be providing all the ingredients. And so all of these things, these offerings, take that marketing and that social reach. People are on social media right now. So get out there, post pictures, be positive, find ways to activate your users, and follow others that you see, that are doing cool things, and replicate it. That's totally fine. And then we at the city are going to be trying to collect all of that information and pushing it out for small businesses. So when Small Business Saturday comes around, we're going to be trying to talk about what Shishi's doing, what Chowdown's doing, what everybody's doing collectively. Bill just let me know during this call and posted in the chat that we will defer our small business loans that are currently in repayment mode. We will replicate what Region 10 is doing in that. So if you have a small business loan with us, let me know and we can get that set up immediately. As far as some of the other relief, like what Kat was talking about, you know, where we're going to be discussing those in coming days as a city leadership team and with council, and we'll hopefully have an update as of next Wednesday as to what we're thinking about, if anything. So for now, what we're trying to do is just remain as positive as we can, be the light in the community, try to drive things forward. You know, at the city, we're open, we're doing business as usual, and trying to do our best. And so we're reaching really close to the 9 o'clock mark. I have a question from Anthony. Could we repurpose all points to deliver food and groceries, even if for the elderly? Bill, I think you might have a little bit more information about that, so we'll go ahead and unmute you.
Yeah, I was about to type it, but I'll just tell everybody. So Commissioner Sue Hansen is leading the effort on getting food to the low to moderate income families, whether they're elderly who are shut-ins now, or the kids who can't make it to the schools. Because I know here in our district and statewide, breakfast and lunch is still being served for the kids of our community, but they have to be able to get to 4 or 5 different schools to get that food. The school, as of right now, hasn't set up a delivery service, but I know Sue Hansen is working with some of our staff and other volunteers from around the community, bunch of nonprofits, and I would see that rolling out in the next couple of days to have a great food distribution network. We've had the rec center offer up all of their vans. I know All Points, the Community Foundation is helping get volunteers, but if you're interested in being part of that, contact Commissioner Sue Hansen. She's leading that effort. Another point of contact would be Bethany Maher from the city of Montrose, who's helping Sue with that. So you can reach out to either one of them and be part of that project.
Thanks, Bill. And we're definitely trying to, again, organize that community resource on cityofmontrose.org/COVID. So we're working to try to organize how you can volunteer, efforts that are being made. The county has asked us to host that on our website, and so we're happy to do that, and we'll be working on it. Looks like we've got Sarah Curtis from All Points. We are doing meal delivery with seniors throughout the region in partnership with, and are happy to partner on similar programs in Montrose. So though it's Wednesday today, it feels like it's about 2 weeks have passed since Monday. And so everybody's activating and trying to really, you know, get these things going and helping. So thank you, Sarah. Thank you to those of you being willing to help. Thank you, business owners, for sticking it out and, you know, acting quickly to keep things going. We don't know what's going to happen, but we think that we can get through this together. And we think that Montrose already has a really strong foundation, and we are already really good at coming together as a community, and that we won't let each other fail. And so look out for this call to be happening again, 8:30 next Wednesday. Please share with everyone you know to jump on the call, to watch today's call, and we will be sending out the notes from this call as well. I'm going to give just a moment if anybody has any more questions to type in, and then we'll go ahead and end the meeting. Okay, looks like Tanya has a question on how we're handling sales tax. For right now, we're going to just be moving forward as usual. We'll be having a discussion about that later today. And Bill, I don't know if you want to chime in.
Cheney already chimed in on the notes. So as of right now, it's status quo for sales tax, but we will be meeting as a city here today to talk about that. But we got to run numbers and everything before we just make a blanket decision related to sales tax. One thing I just wanted to add on the advertising piece, if you're a business who's on the call or you know businesses and spread the word about the call, get them to watch it, contact Chelsea with ideas on the advertising, because one thing that I was just thinking of, Chelsea and I hadn't talked on how we could even expand that further. For what ads businesses have been putting in the daily press or paid ads into the Mirror, we might be able to help by replacing those ads for you. And so the money that you're spending on advertising over the next month, you wouldn't have to spend, and that would increase your cash flow, and we can backfill that through the 2 media outlets. But just talk to us about that. And then we can see what we can work out. We'll run the numbers on what that might be. But at least for the next 3 to 4 weeks, we could help keep cash in your pocket, and we'll partner directly with Daily Press or the Mirror on those things. in
Okay.
addition to us just doing all kinds of blurbs about restaurants are open and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. And what we might start to do is cluster like businesses together and do advertising of that. I've already reached out to the radio station. I'm going to be recording a spot today to talk about the Friday and Saturday and these calls to get everybody sort of up and moving with that. Tanya,
Awesome.
I know you had, or I'm sorry, Kim Volk from Camp Robert, it sounds like you had a question. Did you want to type it or?
No, I was just going to ask about the city sales tax as well, and you just addressed that. I appreciate that the city is going to have a meeting and discuss it. I realize that the city sales tax is not our revenue, but it would sure be a big help for businesses like mine that are now closed down to be able to defer that payment till another time and be able to use those funds immediately, because all these other funds are not available immediately. And today's the day I'm paying all my staff, so I'm needing it more immediately. And that's why I appreciate the city having the discussion about at least deferring these sales tax for the city. Thank you for that consideration.
Okay, thank you, Kim. We're going to meet today and talk about this and, see what we can come up with. We've got a question from Krista at Chowdown. If staff choose not to work because they are not comfortable coming to work in light of the current situation, are they still eligible to apply for unemployment? Not being Department of Labor representative, I think the answer is no, but I think Bill might have a little bit more in-depth knowledge on that. Bill, do you know?
So I don't know the direct answer to that quite yet. We haven't got definitive guidance on that. We just heard about the unemployment stuff that's being rolled out. So did Ray Lucero join the call at all? I had emailed him last night just to see if he could make it from Workforce Center.
No, he emailed and said he wasn't able to just because of the high volume of things that they have going on at their office. And they're also maybe going to have to transfer to remote.
Can we
response.
post whatever we get from them right away? We'll post it out to everyone.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll ask that specific question, Krista.
Yeah. Yep. Anybody else before we end the call this morning? Okay. Thank you all for coming and joining us. Same time, same place. Next week, we'll be sending out the link, and just please tell everyone to join us. Reach out to us. My email is in the notes and will be in the notes that we send out to everybody.